This is Histories and Mysteries Uncovered. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jessica. And on this week's episode, Ashley is going to be talking about the very sad murder story of Candace Newmaker. And I will be talking about a very bad man named Anatoly Moskvin.
I don't know if I know this story. You said I do, so we'll see, but I don't know the name.
You should. It's a very well-known story.
Okay. All right.
He's a very bad man.
Mine is not super well known. I actually found it on BuzzFeed's 10 most bizarre or weird murders, and it's not really weird. It's very sad, so just trigger warning, it is about the death of a 10-year-old little girl. So if, that's not your cup of tea, just fast forward to Jessica's story.
I fast forward to Jessica's story?
No. You are stuck.
It's rude.
I got these new Trulies, and they're New Year's Eve themed, celebration themed. And so there's a cranberry, and this one is party with peach. It's really good.
Ooh, yeah. Really good. Sponsor us.
Truly. I do have to say, I usually like White Claw better, but these Trulies are really good.
I do not like White Claw.
Huh?
I do not like White Claw.
No, why not?
I'm not a vodka girl, first of all.
They're not vodka.
Aren't they vodka?
No.
What the fuck are they?
They're like carbonated, I don't know, what do you call these? Hard seltzers.
Oh yeah, it's disgusting. No. Not a seltzer girl. I'm not a vodka girl. I'm a dark alcohol girl.
Okay.
Although I do like me some Bacardi.
Oh. Yeah, I I usually just drink vodka or Captain Morgan. I'll do that sometimes.
Captain Morgan was my go-to in university.
Yeah,
mine still too. Kind of is.
I don't like it unless it's in this one specific drink that I drink now. I made it for Halloween and for Mara's birthday party. It's Captain Morgan. Me. Not for you. It's a fall drink. It's Captain Morgan, apple cider, and cinnamon, and you heat it up. It's so good.
That sounds really good.
It's really good. It was a hit. Everybody loved it.
Oh, good. How does it feel being closer to 100?
Yeah, it was my birthday this week on Wednesday. I'm now 37.
You're older
37. Yeah, I'm an old bitch.
Holy
3 years till my 40th. I know that gives me a little panic. But I did tell Cody he better do something really cool for my 40th, take me on a cruise or something.
Oh, I was gonna say I'll come over there.
You can, and come on the cruise with me.
Let's do it. Oh, we should just go on a cruise together.
That'd be really fun. My mom and I are going on a cruise together next October.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
She's been wanting to do
a Halloween cruise. And so for the whole month of October, they do Halloween themed cruises. They're not themed cruises, but they're cruises with Halloween stuff. So we're doing that, and we're going to Nassau and Bimini.
So where's the cruises in the US?
Yeah, it goes down to we leave out of Florida, and it goes down to the Bahamas. Or is it the Caribbean? I always confuse the two.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I should go with my mom.
That'd be so cute.
That'd be fine.
Little mother-daughter cruises. So cute.
We should all go. Send me the deets.
And our listeners should go too. Everybody just go.
Ashley will plug the details. I'm honestly terrified of boats. I don't know if I can.
Oh, really?
It, so. Yeah, I don't know why. There's something about being in the middle of a giant body of water and nowhere to go.
Yeah.
If something happens. And then if you do end up something bad happening and you end up in the water, you could get eaten by a shark.
you think it's like a control thing? Like, because you're not in
Probably.
control of like.
Probably because like I know that there's a better chance of dying in a car crash than a plane crash, but I also hate
I
planes.
was just gonna ask how you feel about planes.
Yeah, I hate planes. So
Okay.
like
Okay.
I will fly. I have I've flown many, many times in my life. Um, it's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah. I've been
I
on.
just don't like takeoff and landing, you know?
Yeah, that's the nerve-wracking times.
Yeah. And
Uh,
turbulence sucks.
yeah, I always like look around and see if other people are panicking, and if nobody else is panicking, I'm like, okay, I'm good.
A good idea.
Yeah. I've been on one other cruise. It was like a 3-day down to the again Bahamas. And it was really fun. I really liked it. My husband was not so much a fan of it. One, he was in the Navy, so he's kind of sick of boats.
Yeah.
And two, he's a redhead. And so like the Caribbean with the sun and the beach is like not his cup of tea. So he wasn't a huge fan, but I really liked
Yeah.
it.
Well, that's good.
I thought I went out at night and just like looked into the open ocean, and it was just so cool. Like
Yeah.
just thinking about everything that's just like in there and around. And it was so beautiful. I loved it so much.
See, I'm the complete opposite. I'm like, I'm looking into a deep black abyss. Someone's gonna come out and kill me.
Like the Kraken.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. When I die, I want so Cody and I have a deal. Whoever dies first, the person who dies second will have our ashes spread at the first person's place of choice. So like if I die first, our ashes are getting spread in the ocean. If he dies first, our ashes are getting spread in Washington on the Sahala Glacier.
Okay.
So that's our
Nice.
that's our little deal. So mine's in the ocean. I freaking love the ocean. I love it.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so my story is really fucked up.
Sagui.
I got a lot of resources, so all that's interesting. Rocky Mountain News, which I don't. The article was odd.
Okay.
It was like it was written by a sassy teenager.
Yeah.
It was weird. ABC News, Guardian. I also used the DSM-5, Psychology Today, Healthline, Rebirthing Breath Work, and the Denver Post.
Okay.
All of those little things.
Amazing.
All right. Let's dive in. Candace Newmaker had a hard life. She was born to a teenage mom and an abusive father in the backwater of Lincolnton, North Carolina on November 19th, 1989.
It's Kyle's birthday.
Yeah, but not his birth year.
No.
Close
Wait,
to my birth year.
when was it?
1989.
Okay.
So she would have been close to my birth year. She would have been 3 years younger than me. Eventually, she and her two siblings were removed from the home for neglect. And when Candace was 5, her parents' rights were completely terminated. I couldn't find why, but I would assume they probably didn't follow through on whatever it was that was court ordered that they needed to do to get their parental rights back. 2 years later, at the age of 7, Candace was adopted by Jean Newmaker, who was a pediatric nurse practitioner. So freaking amazing. Adopted at the age of 7 by a pediatric nurse practitioner. That's awesome.
Oh, I love that for her.
Yeah. Oh, but it doesn't end well. The road was hard. After years of neglect by her birth parents and 2 years in the foster system, she went through 6 different foster homes. Candace had a lot of trauma to work through at her young age. And within months of adoption, Jean started bringing Candace to a psychiatrist, which I think is great. You know, obviously this little girl has some trauma. Get right on board with it.
I think that's so important too,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Don't let it fester because it can not go good places.
Yeah. Jean said that she had spent months trying to bond with Candace, but Candace wasn't forming any kind of attachment to her, or really anything for that matter. Jean said she didn't show any concern for other living things either, or her surroundings, saying that she would play with matches, even set the house on fire once, like her room or something, and would kill her pet goldfish. Yeah.
That's really sad.
Yeah. And she said that she would fly into hour-long tantrums pretty regularly.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. She said that Candace even once pulled down a floor-to-ceiling bookcase that smashed a bunch of glass horses that Jean collected. Which I'm thinking, like, how easy was it to pull down this floor-to-ceiling bookcase if a 7-year-old could do it? But apparently Candace's teachers remembered her as a child who wasn't badly behaved at all, but, who really knows what goes on behind closed doors. A few months into her adoption, Jean started sending Candace to different psychologists and psychiatrists. And again, she did so for several years, which again, I think is great. Eventually, Candace was diagnosed with RAD, or reactive attachment disorder, which, according to Psychology Today, is a rare condition of emotional dysfunction in which a baby or child has difficulty forming a bond with a parent or caregivers due to early neglect or mistreatment. And according to the DSM-5, which for those of you who don't know, is the Diagnostic and Statistic Manual of Mental Disorders. It's like the holy grail for psychologists. The symptoms of RAD are a consistent pattern of inhibited and emotionally withdrawn behavior towards caregivers, only occasionally or minimal signs of seeking or responding to comfort when distressed. At least 2 of the following: minimal social and emotional responsiveness to others, limited positive affect, unexplained instances of irritability, sadness, or fear, and a past experience of extremely insufficient care involving at least one of the following: social neglect or deprivation with basic needs for comfort, stimulation, and affection unmet, repeated changes of primary caregivers that limits opportunities to form a stable attachment with a caregiver, growing up in an environment that seriously limits opportunities to form stable attachment with caregiver. And generally, psychologists first rule out autism because some of these symptoms do overlap with autism. But obviously, we can see Candace fit this profile to a T.
Yeah, she had all of those.
She had all of them. Yep. And she had a lot of the symptoms. So to treat RAD, most people go through therapy, generally called attachment-based family therapy. And this is done by trained, I'm going to repeat that, trained psychologists, and has a very specific manual they follow. The therapy has several sessions, both with parents, with child, and together to help everyone work through the disorder. And depending on, case by case, sometimes medication is involved as well. However, there is a subsect of people that adhere to a technique called rebirthing. Have you ever heard of rebirthing, Jessica?
Really only in the sense of, like, you have been reborn as a Christ. Wait.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Or like, oh, I'm now abstinent.
Yeah, I got you.
Reborn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's all I know.
Okay. So rebirthing is an alternative, I can say it, therapy that supporters claim helps to fix negative experiences from a child's birth or infancy that is preventing the child from forming healthy relationships. Some people say that they remember things from their birth while going through a rebirthing session, which no, you do not. No, you did not. No, that's not a thing. Anyway, this therapy was first developed by a new age spiritual guru named Leonard Orr. He started pretty good. Like, his whole theory started as breathing exercises. He found that he and people who conducted sessions could breathe through pain, tension, and trauma. It was a very specific breathing rhythm, which I can kind of see because, they have you do a specific breathing rhythm when you're in labor. A lot of meditation focuses on breathing, so I can get on board with this. But somehow these sessions evolved, and not from him. from other people, from not just breathing.
Untrained.
Huh?
From untrained professionals.
Yes. And his whole thing is huge. Like he's got a whole like movement. He's passed away since, but his wife carried on, and he had people that studied under them, and they started their own businesses, and it's a huge thing, this breathing exercise thing, which is fine. Like this is fine. But again, somehow other people took it and added not just breathing, but simulating birth.
I think I have heard of this.
Yeah. And
Oh, I know what it was. It was in an episode of a TV show
okay.
that I watched.
Gotcha.
It was a cult.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And hashtag not all holistic therapists do this, but many still focus on just the breathing technique. But that was not the case for 10-year-old Candace. In the early 2000s, Jean found this rebirthing therapy in North Carolina and thought, yes, this will help. The treatment she found was 2 weeks and cost $7,000. And it was
Okay.
said, what?
Can I just say
Yes.
what a freaking rock star Jean is?
For trying to hunt down these therapies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know where this ends. But yes, Jean, I don't fault her, but I do to a certain point. But anyway, I'll get into it. It was said that the first week went really well, and Candace was even showing signs of improvement. And it was in the second week that they decided to simulate birth. Connell, I think that's how you say her name. It's Connell.
Yeah, Connell. I used to have a friend in school named Connell.
Okay, I've never heard that name before.
Yep.
So Connell Watkins, who was the lead unlicensed psychotherapist, who, by the way, was conducting this therapy out of her basement, decided that Candace was ready to simulate birth. So they wrapped Candace tightly in a sheet and laid her under a pile of pillows. This whole thing is videotaped, and it ended up being a key piece of evidence. Usually sessions like this are anywhere from like 2 to 15 minutes, I saw. Candace's was 70 minutes long.
Why would you take that long?
And this is where I do fault Jean a little bit, because this went on for 70 minutes and she didn't stop it.
But did she know what was even going on?
They said that the videotape was done so that she could watch it from the other room. So that she could see this like amazing rebirthing experience that her daughter was going to go through.
But did she notice like signs of distress? Like, were there signs of distress?
Oh, yeah. We'll get into it.
Okay. I don't want to.
Yeah. So the video starts by Connell telling Candace to lay in the fetal position on top of a sheet. Connell then pulled the sheet tightly around her and tied it at the top and the bottom. Connell then says, quote, "Imagine yourself as a teeny little baby inside your mother's womb and what it felt like. Warm. It felt tight because her stomach was all around you." She then has herself and one other unlicensed psychotherapist named Julie and 2 assistants. So 4 grown adults, each with large pillows, press down on Candace and tell her to try and get out. So that's, I mean, in total, I think they said it was 673 pounds pushing down on Candace.
That would literally crush her.
So there's like the 4 grown adults, 673 pounds total of between the 4 of them pushing down on her.
Same.
Yeah. And she told Candace to try and get out. And she said, Connell said, "Come out head first. You have to push really hard with your feet. If you stay in there, you're going to die, and mommy's going to die." This is a 10-year-old. 8 minutes in, Candace says, "Who's sitting on me? I can't do it. I can't do it." And then she starts crying. At 10 minutes, she says, whoever's pushing on my head, it's not helping. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't breathe. It's too dark under here. Please quit pushing on my head. I can't do it. Somebody's sitting on top of me. 2 minutes later, she says, I'm going to die now. No, I don't want to, but I'm about to. This is a 10-year-old.
That's so scary.
And
you can hear this in the video?
Yeah. I didn't watch the video. I don't think it's online, but it was played in court. I'm getting chills. For over an hour, Candace pleaded with them, saying that she couldn't breathe, that she was going to die. At one point, an assistant said, go ahead, die right now. For real, for real.
To a 10-year-old.
To a 10-year-old.
Who's gone through emotional trauma after emotional trauma.
Yeah. And I was confused by that, but later on I say it, and I'll just say it here, that what Connell said is that they're trying to make her mad. They're trying to get out the rage in her in this way. So that's kind of why they say stuff like that.
Why not just get the fuck off of her and open up the pillow?
Yeah. Candace even threw up, and she defecated in the sheet. Right before she said, please, you said you would give me some oxygen. I'm throwing up. I just threw up. I gotta poop. I gotta poop. She told them 11 times that she was going to die. The assistants in Connell were berating her, calling her a twerp and a quitter. They told her she gets to be stuck in her own puke and poop. They asked her if she wanted to be reborn, and she said no. And then she goes silent. And that's the last thing Candace ever says.
Mm.
For another 20 minutes after she goes silent, they continue to lay on top of her until they unwrap her finally.
What?
Yeah. When they finally unwrap her, she's blue. They attempted CPR, but she did die the next day in the hospital. She died from brainstem herniation and cerebral edema brought on by mechanical asphyxiation. Connell Watkins and fellow psychotherapist Julie Ponder were charged with reckless child abuse in the death of a child, and her other two assistants were charged with criminally negligent child abuse. The two assistants had a plea deal, so I think that's why they had a lesser charge. In defense of herself, Connell said that the therapy was meant to bring out the rage within the patient. She said that without this therapy, Candace would likely have had to be taken from Jean because the child was difficult to cope with. Connell said, Candace's death is a tragedy, and so is her life. I think of her story as being an American tragedy because there are thousands of children in this country today who have suffered trauma during their first 2 years of life. They will also be misdiagnosed and mistreated and ineffectively treated for years. Many of them, if they're lucky, will be adopted by loving parents, much like Jean Newmaker. And they will devote all their resources and all their energies to help heal the children from the emotional and behavioral problems that they didn't create. And when and if they fail, they will be blamed.
That makes me so mad.
That's what Connell, can you believe that? Both Julie and Connell were found guilty and sentenced to 16 years in prison. Prosecutor Steve Jensen said, I hope this sends a very clear message to those who treat children that they are not allowed to abuse them. The psychological community needs to police themselves, and when they don't, we will step in. Which I don't agree that these two women were part of the psychological community. They were part of an offshoot.
Yeah, they weren't licensed or anything like that. But I mean, it's still good to have those rules in place, even for licensed individuals.
Yeah, absolutely. Before sentencing, Connell said, I feel sorrow, regret, and remorse that torments me every waking hour. I failed Candace and I failed her mother. I accept full responsibility. I'm ready to accept what you require of me. During the trial, Governor Bill Owens signed Candace's law, which outlaws rebirthing therapy on children. Hickory, North Carolina, which is where I lived for a while. Candace's real mother, Angie, who has 5 other children now, said, they smothered her. That was my daughter. How did she die from a blanket? Isn't that why they say don't put pillows on babies? Don't put bags by them? It's stupid. It's stupid. You don't put a child under a pillow and push on her. Connell was released on June 6, 2008 at the age of 62. Yes, 2008. Yes, she was sentenced to 16 years in 2001. Yes, she served 7 years. She was released into a transitional community setting and had to wear an ankle bracelet. She is not allowed to be employed in any way as a psychological counselor or any type of counseling profession. And she also has some restrictions on how she's allowed contact with minors. To this day, as far as we know, Candace is the only one that has died from this rebirthing therapy, but it is still practiced in some places, and hopefully people can get that shut down. But
what happened to Jean?
I don't know. It didn't really say anything about what happened to her afterwards. I don't think she wasn't charged with anything. I don't believe, because I didn't see that anywhere.
Odd to me, because she
was
being
there,
accessory, like she was there,
and she didn't stop them.
Yeah.
Jean Newmaker, I lied. She pleaded guilty to neglect and abuse charges and was given a 4-year suspended sentence, after which the charges were expunged from her record. Connell did appeal, but she was failed.
So, like, what happened to her? I don't get it.
Doesn't really say what happened to her. But I mean, she went to jail for 4 years. Yeah.
But it was a suspended sentence. Doesn't that mean it's delayed?
Great question. Some out there is yelling at us, "This is what it made, you idiots." A legal arrangement in which a person who has been found guilty of a crime is not sentenced to jail, but may be sentenced for that crime at a future time if he or she commits another crime during a specified period.
Oh.
So that's what that is.
It's interesting. So as long as you don't commit another felony,
I guess you don't have
time
to go to prison. Yeah. Interesting. And I bet that you saw it in either Law and Order or Crime or CSI, because they both did an episode on this.
No, I don't watch those shows.
Oh, the Law and Order episode is called Born Again, and the CSI crime scene investigation episode was called Overload.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is the unfortunate story of little Candace Newmaker.
It's really sad.
That's horrible. I didn't realize quite how bad it was till I was like too far into it. I was like, oh, this is awful.
Yeah, that wasn't great. Thanks, though.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, I need you to pause for a sec.
Okay.
No, we just had a little pause.
Jessica had to learn how to say a Russian city, and I'm telling you, that's not a word.
Ivan is my fact checker, but with pronunciations. So I'm gonna try. I only got him to say one word for me,
and it's not a word, Ivan. That is not a word.
But I don't know how to pronounce. But we're gonna do our best. So this is the story of Anatoly Moskvin. Yeah, it's insane.
Is it like
trigger warning?
Insane? Oh, okay. I was gonna say, is it insane bad or insane good?
Bad.
Okay.
It's very, very bad.
So our episode this week is just really an uplifting one.
Mine's in like a different way than yours.
Okay.
I used Daily Mail and All It's Interesting and some other places. I'm really bad at
Jessica was half asleep when she wrote this.
I 100% thought I had researched something else when I was talking to Ashley today about it.
Working mom. You get what you get.
so far. I have become the person that wants to go to bed at 9:30 and wake up at 5 a.m. now. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Well, you have work and a child. That's what's wrong with you.
Yeah, but on the weekend?
Well, what time does Evie wake up?
7:30.
Oh,
Well, like sometimes she'll wake up at 6:30, but she just lays in bed.
nice. Yeah, Oliver does
She
that too.
doesn't
It's just the baby that we have to get up with.
she doesn't even get up out of her bed.
Yeah, neither does Oliver. He just kind of lays there and hangs out.
Yeah.
Sometimes he'll grab a book and he'll read a book.
Oh, she doesn't even do that. She just lays there. Eyes glowing, playing with her belly button. Like,
What a goofball.
okay. Anatoly Moskvin was considered as the ultimate cemetery expert in his hometown of Nizhny Novgorod, Russia.
Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Why were you looking funny?
I was trying to think of a funny joke and I got nothing.
It will search. He attributes his fascination with the macabre to a 1979 incident. This story is so fucking crazy. This whole story is just fucked. He was 13 years old, okay? He told his anecdote in Necrologies, which was a weekly periodical on cemeteries and obituaries, to which he was a regular contributor.
At what age?
So the incident happened when he was 13, but when he was older, he became a writer for this.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. He revealed in his last essay for that journal, dated October 26th, 2011, how a group of men in black suits, when he was 13 years old, stopped him on his way home from school. They were on their way to Natasha Petrova's funeral when they took little Anatoly. Yeah, Anatoly. I'm just going to call him Annie, okay?
Annie, like little orphan Annie. The sun will come out tomorrow.
It doesn't. It does not. It's not okay. No sun here. He needed a little sun. He did not. They took him to this girl's casket, who I'm pretty sure he didn't even know her, and forced him to kiss the girl's corpse.
A little 13-year-old? That's awful. That's going to scar you for a while.
Yeah. He wrote, I kissed her once, then again and again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
The girl's bereaved mother then placed a wedding band on Annie's finger and another one on her deceased daughter.
That's not real. That didn't happen.
What?
I don't believe him. I think he's lying. I don't think that happened.
Oh, fucked.
What?
This is so fucked.
Yeah, I don't think that the mom put a wedding band. Like, I believe he kissed her and got real weird with it, but I don't believe the mom put a wedding band. I think that's him trying to justify his weirdness.
Yeah. My strange marriage with Natasha Petrova was useful, he explained. Strange to say the least. He claimed that it led to a belief in magic and eventually a preoccupation with the dead.
I get how it led to a preoccupation with the dead, but how did he get to magic from that? That's interesting.
Yeah,
in a weird way.
It was maybe just a huge revelation,
just like an opening up of the weird stuff.
Yeah, like there's
not
a
weird,
dead girl
different.
A dead girl can marry. Like there's something beyond us that we don't understand.
Yeah. Okay.
You know. Whether or not this is accurate is kind of irrelevant because his really strange thoughts would go unchecked for 30 years.
Yeah.
If not longer than 30 years. They went unchecked for a very long time.
I don't like where the story's going.
It gets worse. Since that moment, he became super obsessed with anything death related, and he would wander the cemeteries. His morbid fascination influenced his studies as well, and he finally acquired an advanced degree. This part's really weird. In Celtic studies, whose culture and mythology frequently blurs the distinctions between life and death.
Okay.
I don't know.
I used to work at a university, and there was a lady there who had her PhD in like fairies or trolls or something. She was moving to Iceland because some of them do believe in, like, I think trolls, maybe, or fairies, I think.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was real weird.
Yeah.
Not Iceland people. You know my love for Iceland. But her major was real weird.
It's just interesting that you can get a major in that, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I got you. So he also spoke 13 languages, and he published a few papers. So he was a smart guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Meanwhile, he wandered from cemetery to cemetery, and he said, I don't think anyone in the city knows them better than I do.
Okay. So aside from the whole kissing the dead lady thing, he's just a little eccentric right now. Like, if you could just leave it at that, just a little eccentric. Like, we are kind of into weird things, right? We have like a true crime paranormal historical podcast. Like, that's kind of weird. So, you know. End of story,
Yeah.
the end.
No.
I don't like where this is going.
You're not gonna like it. He claimed to have visited 752 cemeteries in Nizhny Novgorod between 2005 and 2007.
Okay, he's a little bit more than eccentric now, but also that I feel like he's exaggerating that number.
He also took careful notes on each one and researched the people that were buried there.
See, okay, like that's kind of cool, right? Like, I follow this girl on TikTok who cleans gravestones, and she
I like
researches
that.
those
That's
people.
cool.
Yeah, she researches those people and tells you about them. That's kind of cool.
The self-taught historian claimed to have walked up to 20 miles every day, sleeping on hay bales and sipping rainwater from puddles.
Okay.
He published 2 documentary series on his trips and discoveries. One is called Great Walks Around Cemeteries, and the other is What the Dead Said.
Okay.
I'd be interested to watch those.
Yeah.
These are still published in a weekly newspaper. Interesting. I do this in The Sims, but he claimed to have slept in a coffin before a funeral, and his observations were just a little bit more than observations.
Oh.
It's not where you think.
Okay.
Locals began to discover that their loved ones' graves were desecrated, sometimes fully dug up.
See, I was picturing him like watching the funeral and jacking off. That's where my head went.
Damn.
Well, you said he was doing more than observing the funeral.
No, he's doing more than observing the graves and the cemeteries, not funerals. He just slept in a coffin before a funeral one day.
Okay.
According to Russian Interior Ministry spokesman General Valery Krupkakin.
I feel like that's not right.
That was wrong. There's no 2 Ks. I don't know where the extra 1 came from. General Valery Rybakin.
Okay.
That sounds better. That individual said, our leading theory, sorry, our leading theory was that it was done by some extremist organizations.
Mm.
We decided to build up our police forces and form groups made up of our most experienced detectives who specialize in extremistic crimes. However, the Interior Ministry's leads went nowhere for nearly 2 years.
Well, yeah, they were like just completely wrong in their thought.
Yeah, no one knew why graves were being desecrated.
Yeah.
The probe was then halted. Yeah.
Was he taking the like were the bodies gone?
The probe was then halted
Oh
following a
no.
terrorist incident at Moscow's Domodedovo airport in 2011. Authorities soon received reports of Muslim graves being desecrated in Nizhny Novgorod. What?
You said desecrated weird. I think you're so focused on the Russian words, you're like not speaking English anymore. You said desecrated. Desecrated.
Sorry. I am trying.
I know.
Ashley's a bad one. Investigators were led to a cemetery where someone was painting over images of dead Muslims while causing no harm to anything else. Anatoly Moskvin was finally apprehended here. After apprehending him at the Muslim cemetery, 8 police officers went to his apartment to gather evidence.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was confused. I thought he was like painting over like bad images of dead Muslims, but you're saying he was just like fucking with their graves.
Yeah.
Okay. That's awful.
Yeah. The 45-year-old shared a modest apartment with his parents.
Oh.
And he was said to be lonely and a bit of a pack rat.
Oh.
Inside the apartment, officials discovered life-sized doll-like figures.
Oh my God. I know this story now. And I think it's been repeated in several horror movies.
It's bad, guys.
Where were his parents at?
They lived at home.
But how did they not notice?
I don't know. I don't know.
Continue.
The figures looked like old dolls. They dressed elegantly and in a variety of styles. Some donned knee-high boots, while others applied cosmetics over fabric-covered faces. Interesting. He'd also wrapped their hands in fabric. But, as I'm sure you all know, by now, these were not dolls. They were the mummified bodies of girls.
I hate this.
When the police moved one of the bodies, music began to play as if on cue. Moskvin had hidden music boxes inside the chests of numerous of the dolls.
Can you imagine being the police officers that found this?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then the family member. Oh my God.
Photographs and plaques from gravestones, doll making guides, and maps of local cemeteries were also strewn about the apartment. The garments worn by the mummified corpses were also the clothes in which they had been buried. Investigators later discovered music boxes or toys inside of the bodies of the deceased females, which made sounds when he touched them. Some of them also contained personal items and clothing. So one of them had a piece of her own gravestone inside of her. Another had a piece of a hospital tag stating the date they died and how they died. And inside of another one was a dehydrated human heart.
Was he sleeping with them?
I don't think so.
Oh, thank God. I don't know why, but that makes it way better.
I don't think so, just based off of how he feels about them.
Okay.
Which is good.
Yes.
He confessed to stuffing the decaying corpses with rags. He would then tie nylon tighter on their faces or place fashion doll faces on them. He'd often stick buttons or plastic eyes in the girls' eye sockets so that they could watch cartoons with him. He also indicated that he mainly liked his gals, but that there were a few dolls in his garage that he had grown to despise.
Oh.
Yeah. Not a fan of those ones. He claimed that he dug up the graves because he was lonely. He stated he was single and that his greatest desire was to have children. He was unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on if you look at it, was denied by Russian adoption agencies because he did not earn enough money.
Oh, thank God.
Well, the thing is, if he wasn't denied, would he have committed these crimes?
I don't think someone that is like that psychologically should have children.
But I'm just wondering, I don't disagree. He's a terrible man. But what if that was the trigger? But no.
Because you have to be real.
No, because this started when he was 13. Never mind. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and just like the psychological issue or disorder, whatever it is he has, like most people, if they get denied for an adoption because they don't make, like, it's devastating and they're sad. They don't rob graves and make dolls from people. Like, you got to be fucked up in the head. And I don't think that person should have.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking. Because he started this like weird fascination when he was younger. So
even if he had just started it though, like,
yeah.
What if the kid made him mad? Like, what's he gonna go do?
That could have been like a weird trigger.
Yeah, know? Yeah. But if it triggers you to do that, like,
yeah.
Boo.
He went on to say that he did what he did because he was waiting for science to discover a technique to resurrect the dead.
Yes, of course.
Meanwhile, he preserved the females using a simple combination of salt and baking soda. He celebrated their birthdays as if they were his own children as well. His parents had no idea.
Do you, one, how? And two, do you know how he picked who he took? Or was it just like a convenience? Like, this person died, I'm gonna go dig up this grave now.
Yeah, I don't know, to be completely honest with you. It's hard to say because his youngest was like 3 and then he had like in their 20s. So it's just, it's not really super consistent. So
can you imagine those poor parents of that 3-year-old?
No.
Oh my God.
I have a quote from a mom coming up and it's awful. His parents said, "We saw these dolls, but we didn't expect or suspect that there were dead bodies inside."
I mean, I guess I can see that. Like, you're not like that would be the last thing that I ever thought. I'd be like, oh, my son's weird. He's got these life-size dolls.
Yeah.
I would not think, oh, those are probably dead bodies.
We assumed it was his pastime, and it was his prerogative.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
But the smell.
Yeah.
Moskvin's shoes matched tracks found near desecrated graves, and police knew that they had found their grave robber.
Yeah.
His apartment included how many dolls, do we think?
15.
29.
Oh my gosh.
29 life-size dolls.
Poor women.
And like I said, they ranged in age from 3 to 25.
Wow.
And he had kept one corpse for nearly 9 years.
Oh my God. There couldn't have been anything left.
Well, he had preserved them like a mummy, right?
Yeah.
And they were wrapped up super tight. Not a lot of air is going to get in there.
Yeah. I hate that.
He was charged with a dozen felonies, all of which involved grave destruction. And he was dubbed the Lord of the Mummies and the Perfumer.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, they cannot have a legal term for this. Like,
No.
they'd have to get him for great. Yeah.
His neighbors were taken aback, obviously.
Yeah.
And they reported that he was quiet and his parents were pleasant. Sure, his apartment emitted a rotten odor every time he opened the door, but a neighbor chalked it up to the stink of something that rots in the basements of all the other buildings.
Yeah. I mean, again, the last thing you're going to think of your quiet, nice neighbor is that he's got 29 dead bodies in there.
Yeah. So his editor at Necrologies wasn't concerned with his oddities. He said many of his articles enlighten his sensual interest in deceased young women, which I took for romantic and somewhat childish fantasies the talented writer emphasized.
No, what? No. Oh my God.
He described the historian as having quirks, but he had no idea that one of those quirks was the mummification of 29 young women and girls.
Quirk is played with a Ouija board in front of a cemetery. Jessica. Weirdo creepiness is finding sensual romantic feelings for dead bodies.
Or thinking that that's a quirk.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy's probably doing it too. He's probably like, hey, that's a great idea. I'm going to go do it now.
Oh, please don't. Moskvin admitted to 44 counts of grave and dead body abuse in court. He said to the victim's parents, "You abandoned your girls, so I brought them home and I warmed them up."
I would explode from rage.
Yeah.
Of the audacity.
Mm-hmm.
The audacity.
Yeah. So he was diagnosed with schizophrenia after his sentencing and sentenced to time in a psychiatric facility. However, as of September 2018, he has had the option of continuing psychiatric treatment at home.
So pretty soon graves are going to be desecrated again.
His first victim's mother, Natalia Chardaimova, feels Moskvin should be imprisoned for the rest of his life. Same. She said, "This creature brought fear, terror, and panic into my life.
Yeah.
I shudder to think that he will have freedom to go where he wants." Neither my family nor the families of the other victims will be able to sleep peacefully. He needs to be kept under surveillance. I insist on a life sentence, only under medical supervision without the right of free movement.
Yeah. I mean, at least he's not a danger. Well, yet. Who knows if this wouldn't escalate, you know?
So
Ugh.
even though wow, even though psychiatrists indicate that he, now in his early 50s, is improving, local prosecutors agree with the first victim's mother.
Yeah, yeah.
Several of his colleagues have stopped working with him since his arrest. Good. And his parents live in complete solitude because their community has shunned them.
That's not their fault.
And this next part's so sad.
Unless they were like shitty to him and that's what caused his psychological damage. I don't know. But okay, next part that's real sad.
His mom even said and had suggested to her husband that they commit suicide.
Oh.
And the dad said no. So they didn't go through with it. And they're both in very poor health.
Oh, no, that's sad. So it's not like they can really move.
No. Moskvin allegedly informed officials that reburying the girls was pointless because he would simply unbury them when he was released.
Why did they release him? He's not remorseful. He doesn't think what he did was wrong. He's clearly not getting better if he's just going to do it again.
Yeah. And so the full quote was, he said for them not to bury them very deep because there was no point. Because he was just going to go at him again.
That's horrific.
Yeah. So Chardamova, the mom, she said, I still find it hard to grasp the scale of his sickening work. But for 9 years, he was living with my mummified daughter in his bedroom. I had her for 10 years. He had her for 9.
Oh my God.
How horrifying.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine.
Until recently, so the article was from like 2022. Courts have consistently refused to release him, thankfully. But psychiatric doctors are now claiming that there's no medical justification to keep him in solitary confinement. Parents of the deceased children have called for him to be imprisoned for the remainder of his life, fearing he will revert to his evil old practice of living with the remains of their children for up to 10 years.
He said he would.
Yeah. However, according to various publications, including Vesti and Komsomolskaya Pravda, a fresh diagnosis intends to end his 10-year captivity in a special hospital.
I mean, as long as he's locked up.
He will be classified as incapacitated, which means he will be able to live with friends or relatives or in a care facility that will not lock him up.
Oh.
No matter what has happened, though, he has refused to apologize to the victims' families or for his crimes. So, this is a horrible story. I'm sorry. It
was awful.
It was awful.
It's so weird, too.
Yeah. Got a joke for me?
No. Let me find one. Let me look up. What do we need? Some like happy, like, okay. Best corny dad jokes that will make you laugh. Okay. Why can't you hear a pterodactyl going to the bathroom?
Because the P is silent.
Yeah. Where is King David's temple located?
Vegas.
Beside his ear. What is the difference between a poorly dressed man on a tricycle and a well-dressed man on a bicycle?
One has one or one's two.
Attire.
Wait, three. Yeah.
Attire. Like ATTIRE. Because one's poorly dressed and one's well-dressed. Attire. Oh, here's your joke. What's red and bad for your teeth?
Brick.
Why were the fish's grades bad?
Oh, I know this one. Why were the fish's grades bad? I don't know.
They were below sea level. What do you call a pig that practices karate?
Workshop.
Yeah. Oh. I'm gonna do one more.
Yeah, if you could get there today, that'd be cool.
No, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. Everybody come back. Okay. How do you organize a space party?
I don't know.
You plan it. Well, if you want more of this great jokes, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Patreon. We never plug our Patreon. Join us on Patreon, where you can join for $3 and you get a sticker and an extra monthly bonus episode.
Yeah. And our bonus episodes are super fun. So
super fun, which we gotta record it this month still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost forgot.
Don't do that.
And rate and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We look forward to bringing you tuna stories next week.
Bye.
Bye.